Hello, my eSchool ninjas. This is Miss Briscoe here. This is your first recorded math lesson. This is Chapter 1, Lesson 1. And our learning goal for today in math is going to be I can describe the relationship between two place value positions. So what you're going to need for this lesson is you're going to need the notes that I have posted below. You're going to have to find the math Chapter 1, Lesson 1 notes. These are going to go into your math section of your interactive binder. They're going to be a great resource for you to look back on as you're working through your math coursework for this chapter and for any review that you would like to have before any quizzes or tests that we have. Our learning goal for today is I can describe the relationship between two place value positions. So on this base 10 blocks chart we have, it shows our place value positions. As you can see, our ones place, and that's represented by just one cube, and that would be called a small cube. Then you have the tens place, which is represented by this long rod that has 10 sections in it, and that's called a long. Our hundreds place, there would be 100 little sections in there, and it's called a flat. And then you have your thousands place, and there's 1,000 section there, and it's called a large cube. So I'm just going to show you a quick example of what these look like. This would be a small cube. Then we have our long. Then you have your flat. And then last but not least, we would have our large cube, as you can see. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to explore the relationship from one place value to the next. Now, this is probably a review for most of you. It's just time to get your mind kick-started on place value before we dive into that 5th grade curriculum. So as you move farther down your notes, I'm going to flip mine over here, we are going to compare one place value to another. So if I'm going to compare my tens place value to my ones place value, what is the similarity? What is the relationship between the tens place value and the ones place value? As you can see here, the tens place value is 10 times as much as the ones place value. So if I were to have my long here, this would stand for my tens place value. And if you can see, to make up my long rod, it would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It would take 10 small cubes to make up one of these rods that equal the tens place. So if you look here, 10 small cubes equals one long flat. That means that the tens place is 10 times as much as the ones place. Or if you wanted to reverse it, the ones is 1/10 of the tens. That means that 1 only stands for 1/10, 1 out of 10 of the tens place. So then if we were to move down, we're going to compare the hundreds place value to the tens place value. So the hundreds place value is 10 times as much as the tens, or 10 is 1/10 of 100. So an easy way for you to figure out these relationships is 100 is 10 times as much as 10. That means if you were to multiply 10 by 10, you would equal 100. Or if you're looking at it over here, 10 is 1/10 of 100. If you were to take 100, divide it by 10, you would equal 10. So they want to know how many flats would 10 of our longs equal. And that would equal, you would need 10 longs, 10 of these longs. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So do you see? We have 10 longs that make up one flat. And that's our relationship between our tens and our hundreds place. Now if we were going to go down between our thousands place and our hundreds place, 1,000 is 10 times as much as 100, or 100 is 1/10 of 1,000. So they want to know how many flats equals one large cube. So this would be my flat, which equals 100, and this is my large cube that equals 1,000. How many of these flats would I need to make 1,000? Well, if you have seen the relationship, we have 10 small cubes equals one flat, 10 longs equals one flat. So 10 flats equals one large cube. So they increase by multiplying by tens. Each place value is increased by a multiple of 10. So let's practice that a little bit. Let's see what that looks like in action. So 20 is 10 times as much as 2. That means if you were to multiply 2, which would be in the ones place, by 10, it would equal 20. Another thing that you can notice is with your multiplication, you have the 2 times the 1, which equals 2, and then you add a 0, so that would get you to 20. The same thing over here. 2 is 1/10 of 20. If I were to take 20 and divide it by 10, it would equal 2. So let's show another example. 40 is 10 times as much as 4. Okay, 10 times as much as 4, that means 4 times 10 would equal 40. If I had 4 times 10, it'd equal 40. 4 is 1/10 of what? So what divided by 10 would equal 4? See if you can guess that. I'll give you a second to see if you can figure out what divided by 10 would equal 4. If you guessed 40, you are correct. And then our next one, 300 is 10 times as much as 30. Okay, and the way that we figured out, 30 times 10 would equal 300. An easy way to multiply these is if you had 10 times 30. If you have all zeros behind it, you can multiply your whole numbers, which is 3 times 1, which would equal 3. And then I have 2 zeros I can add on to the end. So 30 times 10 equals 300. The same thing with the opposite. 300 divided by 10 would equal 30. And if we come down one more, there's one for you to do. So I would like you to try this last problem. 500 is 10 times as much as what? And then 50 is 1/10 of what? I'll give you a couple minutes. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out those answers on your own. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video and you were looking, okay, 500 is 10 times as much as what? You're going to go down in your place value. Okay, so you can either figure out what times 10 equals 500, or you can say, okay, what is my next place value down? Well, this is 500. The next place value would be tens. This is the hundreds, the tens. So it would be 50. And then the same thing over here. What divided by 10 equals 50? Well, if I were to go up in one place value, it would be 500. Alrighty. So these are your interactive notes that you are going to need for your math notebook. Go ahead and put them in that math section of your binder. And you can try the practice below.